Hi there. Welcome to the 10-Minute Analyst, where we turn complex institutional research into intelligence you can actually use.
Every week, we dissect the latest reports from banks, summarizing the charts, the data, and the bottom line into a concise podcast and visual deck.
It's open source intelligence for the modern professional. Now let's dive in.
You know that feeling, that sort of low-grade anxiety that kicks in when you finally sit down to book a vacation?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not talking about the fun part, the dreaming part. I mean the execution. You look up, and you've suddenly got 50 tabs open in your browser.
The dreaded tab fatigue. It's like
Yeah.
a universal tax we all pay for trying to go somewhere nice.
Exactly. You've got, 3 different flight comparisons, a map of hotels, some blog post from 4 years ago about the best tacos that might not even be there anymore. And you're
Right.
just exhausted.
It turns the whole dream into a logistics nightmare.
But according to this deep dive we were jumping into today, that entire era of search and suffer,
Yeah.
well, it's officially ending. We're moving past just Googling everything and straight into the age of Agentic AI.
It is a massive shift. And we're not just talking about a slightly smarter search bar or, a chatbot that writes bad poetry. This is a fundamental restructuring of the entire travel economy.
And to get our heads around it, we're looking at a new thematic report from UBS on the global travel sector. It's dated, just a few days ago? February 13, 2026.
Fresh off the press. And what's great about this one is that it isn't just analysts guessing. It's built around an expert call with Raheel Bhagia.
Right, the former VP of Strategy for Consumer Ops at Marriott. So this is an insider's take.
That context is absolutely vital. Bhagia understands the plumbing, the P&L of a hotel. So when he talks about AI, he's talking about margins, about real distribution costs, and labor.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to analyze how AI is graduating from being a cool novelty to a full-blown travel agent, a booking engine, and a concierge, all in one.
And since we follow the money, what are the financial implications?
Exactly. Who wins, who loses, and does this completely change how we should be looking at investing in hotels versus those giant online travel agencies?
That is the key question, because when the technology changes, the economics change. And in this case, the economics could be shifting by billions of dollars.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we even get to the hard numbers, the report lays out this really interesting timeline of discovery, how we find the places we want to go. It feels like we've lived through 3 different eras in just the last 10 years.
We really have. If you rewind to, say, 2015 to 2020, that was the golden age of the OTAs. Booking.com, Expedia, they were just gaining massive market share.
They solved the aggregation problem.
Right. It was just easier to go to one site than to check 10 different airline websites. They were the gatekeepers.
And at the same time, the big hotel chains were pouring money into their own apps to try and fight back.
Then the pandemic hits and everything gets a bit weird. And it gets social.
The report calls it a shift to social discovery. Suddenly, Gen Z and Gen Alpha and, everyone else, they're not starting on a travel website.
No, they're scrolling TikTok or Instagram. They see a video of a villa in Bali, and that's the spark.
Which created this total disconnect. You had the inspiration happening on social media, but the booking was still on these clumsy old legacy sites.
Right.
A broken funnel.
And that brings us to now, 2026. The report says we're shifting again to Gen AI-led discovery.
This is where consumers start bypassing the browser altogether and go straight to large language models, LLMs. But, and this is the crucial part, we're not just asking for a list of hotels anymore. We're dealing with agentic AI.
Yes, and we should probably pause on that word, agentic. It sounds a little bit like a spy movie, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Uh.
So practically speaking, what's the difference between agentic AI and, the ChatGPT we were using a couple of years ago?
It's all about agency. That's the root word. The last generation of AI, let's call it the Librarian era, it could retrieve information, it could summarize, it could say, here are 5 hotels.
Okay.
Agentic AI can act. It doesn't just tell you there's a flight at 4:00 p.m. It has the capability to go out, access your payment info, and actually execute the booking for you.
So there's difference between a librarian and a personal executive assistant.
That's a perfect way to put it. The report details things like autonomous trip planning, subscription services, predictive servicing. It even mentions VR-enabled visualization.
So wait, before I book, the AI might just generate a VR walkthrough of the destination for me.
That's the idea. So it's handling the whole guest life cycle end to end.
From idea generation to booking, loyalty programs, payments.
All of it. And it doesn't stop when you check in. The report specifically talks about in-stay support.
Meaning if I need extra towels or a late checkout, I'm not calling the front desk.
You just tell the AI. And Rahil Bhajian noted that Gemini Google's AI is already working with Marriott on these kinds of integrations. He thinks this will be widespread in the next 3 to 5 years.
So we're really talking about a world where I just say to my phone, book me a long weekend in Paris, somewhere with a view of the Eiffel Tower under 400 euros a night. And it just happens.
That is the promise of agentic AI.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for the industry landscape. If everyone has an AI agent, are we all just going to be using the same one? Is there going to be one travel god AI that controls everything?
Yeah, if I'm an investor, I'm terrified of one company owning that entire funnel.
Exactly.
That's the one ring fallacy, right? One platform to rule them all. But the UBS report suggests that's pretty unlikely. Instead of a monopoly, we're probably looking at parallel funnels.
Parallel funnels, what does that mean?
It means different AIs are going to serve different types of users. They're actually developing distinct personas. The report breaks this down based on Bhajia's insights, and it's fascinating. It's almost like they're characters in a show.
I love this part. It's like high school clicks, but for algorithms.
It really is. So you've got Gemini. The report basically aligns Gemini with the whole Google ecosystem. It's integrated with payments, it's functional, very efficient, it's the get-it-done bot.
Pragmatic choice.
Then you have ChatGPT. Its style is described as more personal, more colloquial. It's the one you'd chat with to brainstorm ideas.
And then there's Claude.
Claude is seen as warmer.
Warmer. I love that. I love that we're assigning warmth to a large language model. But I get it. If I'm planning a romantic anniversary trip, maybe I want the warm AI that gets the nuance, not the spreadsheet AI.
Exactly. And this differentiation is so important because it means the market stays fragmented. We might even see national or regional LLMs pop up that can capture local traffic because they understand a specific culture or language better. So no single monopoly.
Which is probably good news for the hotels. You don't want one gatekeeper charging a toll on every vacation on the planet. And speaking of tolls and money, let's pivot to the economics. This is the real core of the UBS analysis.
The so what for the wallet.
Oh, we always say follow the money. This report breaks down the cost of getting a guest into a hotel room in a way that it blew my mind. Walk us through the current state versus this AI future.
It's a really stark comparison. So traditionally, if a hotel gets a booking through an OTA, an Expedia, a Booking.com, they pay a commission. The report says that's typically 15 to 20% of the room revenue.
That is a huge chunk, 20% straight off the top, just for finding the guest.
It is. So hotels try to get you to book directly on their website, but that's not free either. Between staff, tech, marketing, bidding on search terms, the report says direct digital channels cost the hotel about 10%.
Okay, so direct is half the cost of an OTA. That's why they push the loyalty program so hard. It saves them margin.
Correct. But now, enter the AI agent. The report suggests that these AI agents could operate and distribute at around 5%.
Whoa, 5%.
That's the potential. Because of the lower overheads. Think about it. An AI doesn't need a glossy banner ad. It doesn't need a user interface that costs millions to design. It just needs a data connection.
So if I'm a hotel owner and I can shift my bookings from a 20% commission channel to a 5% AI channel, my margins just exploded.
Ideally, yes. The report calls this a massive margin opportunity. If hotels can shift distribution, they keep way more profit.
I hear a little bit of caution in your voice there. Ideally, economics is rarely that simple.
Well, standard economic theory applies. If everyone's costs go down, what usually happens?
Competition.
Exactly. Those savings might get competed away in the form of lower prices for you, the consumer. If Marriott saves 15%, Hilton might just drop their prices to steal share.
So the hotels might not keep all that extra cash. They might just end up in a price war.
They might, but even if they pass the savings on, it makes travel cheaper, which probably drives more volume. But there's another layer of savings that the hotels do get to keep. And this is the operational side. This is where it gets a bit sensitive, regarding jobs.
Okay.
The report explicitly mentions that agentic AI can eliminate certain on-property roles. Things like night auditors and rooms controllers.
The night auditor, that's a classic hospitality job. The person at the desk at 3 a.m.
It is. But think about the function. Balancing the books, checking people in, managing inventory. If you have an autonomous system that can do all that without sleeping, the need for a human in that specific chair goes way down.
And it extends to corporate to marketing too, right?
Yes. Automated content creation, media optimization. So Labor costs fall, marketing costs fall, distribution costs fall.
It sounds like a productivity miracle for the hotel chains, even if it's disruptive for the labor market. So let's look at the players. We have the hotels, we have the OTAs. For years, the story has been that OTAs are eating the world. Does AI kill the OTA?
You'd think so, right? Given that 5% versus 20% cost difference we just talked about, why would I need Expedia if I have an AI agent?
Yeah.
But the report says not so fast.
Why not?
Data and scale. The big OTAs, they aren't dead. They have massive amounts of data and, crucially, that last available room capability. They see the whole market in a way a single hotel chain just can't.
Right. If I want to know every hotel available in Tokyo tonight, Marriott can only show me Marriott's. Booking.com shows me everything.
Precisely. And they're not ignoring AI. They're early adopters. They've been embedding AI into their apps for years. So they benefit from being that trusted app on your phone where your credit card is already saved.
So the OTAs put up a fight. What about the big hotel chains then? We mentioned Marriott working with Gemini.
The large chains are in a very, very strong position. The report highlights that they have structured signals, which is basically just a fancy way of saying really clean, organized data.
And why do structured signals matter so much?
Because AI craves structure. To make a booking, the AI needs to know the room type, the bed size, cancellation policy, price, all in a format it can instantly read.
And the big chains have that.
Exactly. Chains like Marriott or Hilton have these centralized databases that speak the AI's language.
Which brings us to the independent hotels, the little boutique places. Are they in trouble?
It's a mixed bag, but yeah, the risk for them is high. They often lack the resources to fund their own big AI initiatives. And if their data is messy, if their inventory lives on a spreadsheet somewhere, the AI might not be able to see them.
They become invisible to the bots.
Potentially. Which means they might get stuck paying those high OTA commissions forever just to get listed at all.
That feels like a trap. Is there a way out for them?
The report points to influencer-led marketing. Remember the TikTok discovery thing? Independents can use better content to bypass those channels. If an AI can watch a video and recommend a hotel from that, they've got a shot. But right now, their reliance on OTAs is still very high.
So the big guys get bigger because they have the data infrastructure, and the little guys have to get creative to survive.
That's a fair summary. And there's one more group of winners we shouldn't overlook. The infrastructure plays.
The plumbers of the internet.
Essentially, yeah. To make all this agentic AI magic work, the legacy back-end tech in these hotels needs a massive overhaul. Some of these systems are ancient.
We're talking green screens and DOS prompts.
Decades old. So companies like Amadeus and Oracle, their micros division, they stand to benefit a lot. Hotels have to modernize their systems to even plug into these new AI agents.
And even if hotels save money on commissions, they're going to be spending a chunk of it with Oracle to upgrade their tech stack.
Precisely. It's the classic selling shovels in a gold rush.
So let's just synthesize this. If we zoom out, we're looking at a fundamental change in the business model of travel.
We are moving from a search-based economy to an agent-based economy, and we're seeing distribution costs, the cost of selling a room, potentially drop from 20% to 5%. That is a massive release of value into the system.
And for an investor, it means looking at who has the data and who has the trust. The big brands seem to have a real moat here.
They do. Trust and brand security are still paramount. Even if an AI books your room, you still want to know that when you show up, the brand will deliver. That human trust factor is huge.
It's fascinating. We started with a headache of 50 open tabs, and we've ended up in a world where a warm AI named Claude plans our anniversary trip, saves the hotel 15% in costs, and the night auditor is, well, maybe a very efficient algorithm.
Hopefully those resources just get moved to something more high-touch, more focused on the guest experience rather than just data entry.
That leads me to a final thought for our listeners to mull over. We've talked so much about efficiency and automation today.
Right, the drive for a frictionless experience.
So here's my question. If the search is automated, the booking is automated, the payment is invisible, and even check-in is handled by a bot, does the very definition of luxury travel change?
What do you mean?
I mean, does luxury become defined purely by the presence of actual humans? In a world of perfect AI efficiency, is the ultimate status symbol having a real person look you in the eye and hand you a key? Or does the seamlessness of the machine become the ultimate luxury itself?
That is a profound question. Is luxury friction-free or is luxury human connection? I think as this tech rolls out over the next few years, we're all about to find out.
I think we are. And on that note, thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you on the next one.